everybody. Randy Patterson here with Boomerocity. And on this episode, we have a good friend coming back to chat with us. In fact, it was just back in February that we last spoke with him. I think it was February, pretty sure of that. And it is none other than Doug Aldrich from the Dead Daisies. You'll also know him from his work with Dio and with Whitesnake. And the last time we spoke, they had a single that was coming out from their album Light 'Em Up. But then right on the heels of that, they came out with a blues album that I absolutely fell in love with. It's great blues covers recorded at the same studio. The studio is the infamous or famous, not infamous, Fame Studios in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. And if you've followed Boomerocity for a lot of years, you may recall that I had the privilege of interviewing Fame Studios co-founder Rick Hall. He had just come out with his autobiography, and we had a great chat there. It's a written interview, so you can find it on boomerocity.com. Sadly, a couple years after that interview, Rick passed away. But man, what a legacy he left behind with Fame Studios and all the different great artists he worked with. And I encourage you, if you can find the book as well as the documentary based on that book and based on Rick's life, I would encourage you to get both because they're wonderful to have. Perfect addition for your own private library. But anyway, back to this album. The Dead Daisies have come out with this great blues covers album called Lookin For Trouble. Again, it was recorded there at Fame Studios, and there's a documentary along with it. It's about 20 minutes long, so you won't want to miss it. In fact, if you're catching this video on the Boomerocity website, you'll see the video embedded on this same page of the documentary. So you can just go down there and click on that and watch it. 23 minutes, I think, is all it is. Great interview. You'll see some great stuff there in the Fame Studios and all the guys chatting. It's wonderful. While you're at it, as I always ask, would you please hit like and subscribe, especially if you're not already a subscriber. Don't unsubscribe. And share this interview with your blues-loving friends or your Dead Daisies friends or your Whitesnake friends or Dio friends. Anybody that would know who Doug is, they'll want to watch this interview. So please share it with them. Won't cost you anything. Won't cost me anything. Helps us all out a lot. So without any further ado, here is yet again a great interview with our good friend Doug Aldrich. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerocity. Take care.
Randy?
Hello, Doug. Good seeing you again.
How's it going, man?
It's going great. Where are you clicking in from?
In Essen, Germany.
Wow. Well, thank you for, it's got to be what? Let's see, about 5 or 6 o'clock there, right?
Yep. How'd you know?
I know my time zones.
You're good.
I used to be a offshore vendor manager, so I used to have Europe and Middle East and India and all those time zones memorized, but Europe kind of locks in my mind for some reason. So anyway, love the guitar.
Thanks, man.
Tell me about it. How old is it?
This is not that old. This is 2008. It's I call it the Black Hornet affectionately because it's kind of got this, everything's yellowed out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a black top. It's kind of like, it would be like a 57 or 58. It's an R8 actually, but yeah.
Very cool.
Anyways, I'm here on we had our first show in Spain the day before yesterday. And we had a travel day yesterday. We're now here in Germany. We start tomorrow.
Very cool. I interviewed Cindy Santana a couple weeks ago, and I keep track of her and Carlos, and I guess they're somewhere near you. I think they were just in Budapest or something. So you guys will probably cross paths at some point, I would imagine. Everybody seems to be over there right now. It's the time of year.
You get in the airport and you're going through like Copenhagen or something like that. You'll run into people. A lot of those European things cross in Copenhagen for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's Scandinavia and other parts, but yeah. Or or Amsterdam,
Yeah.
one of those big ones.
What do
Anyways,
you what's the Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, where are you at?
I'm in Smoky Mountains still. I'm about 2 miles up the road from Dollywood. So
Cool.
go figure. So I'm up here. I'm my dad's caretaker, and so I live next door to him, and do this in between taking him to his appointments and dinners and such. So it's
Well, happy Father's Day, by the way.
oh well, thank you. Do you have kids?
Yep, I sure
Well,
do.
happy Father's Day to you too.
Thanks,
I
man.
mean,
It's
how
the
old are they?
greatest. One is I've got a 37-year-old, I've got a 16-year-old, and a 9-year-old.
Wow, a
So
little
I
bit
got
spread apart there.
yeah,
I have one. She will turn 41 in October. So,
nice.
yeah, yeah. So, well, man, before we get into this new album and this documentary, I wanted to ask you, how has the Light 'Em Up album done for you? That's a great album. I'm sure you
Thanks.
guys are getting some great response there. Tell me about it.
We got we've been working that for I guess about I guess it's about 8 months now, something like that.
Hmm.
And it's been great, man. The songs go over great live, so it's fun to play. We're playing probably 3 or 4 of them in our live set right now, and a lot of energy, and it's just simple rock and roll, straight to the gut. And
Hmm.
it's been really well received, and like I say, we've been having fun playing them live. So it's cool, but we're on to the next. It's like in this day and age, you got to move quickly. You got to go from like, uh, one release or one tour directly into something else, or you got to take a break.
Well, it's how rock and roll started. You had the Beatles, Elvis, all that, just on a perpetual cycle. Once one record come out, you started working on another. It seemed like so. The more things change, the more they stay the same, right? So,
Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
what
It's
are
a
fan
blessing.
are yeah, it is. When you have people waiting for your next release, that's got to feel wonderful. And you're in a tough business, man. People just feel like how are you going to blow our minds next? And they keep, that bar keeps raising. And when you still have people waiting with bated breath for your next release, you're doing something right. So,
Well, we're very, very lucky, and you need to have some luck in this business. It is
yeah.
it is tough, like you say, but we've been extremely blessed, very lucky.
Has there been any fan stories tied to the last album, Light 'Em Up, that, anything in particular that's pretty cool that you kind of look back on and think from time to time, think, yeah, that's a cool story?
It's just one. There's so many stories. There's a lot of. We've got some amazing fans, and they're actually friends now. So like, if we especially here in Europe and in Germany in particular, we have so many people that always come out to see us. And so like we'll a lot of times they'll just be checked into the same hotel as us, and we'll just end up down in the bar or in the gym or whatever. And it's pretty cool. But I think the best fan thing for me right now is is the opportunity where maybe I'll see somebody that I'm a fan of, like somebody that I think, wow, that's really cool, like, that I can introduce my kid to somebody, or somebody, or like someone will come up and ask me for an autograph in front of my kid. So it's like it's kind of living through the kids vicariously. Like for example, before he passed, and God bless that kid, John Sykes. Before John passed, I had met John several times, and John is always really funny and really cool. And it was we never really got into any White Snake stuff too much, but I saw him in the grocery store before he passed, a few years back, and I was with my son, and I introduced my son to him. My son didn't care, but I just thought it was cool that he got to meet Sykes. and stuff like that, or somebody will come up to me and go, I have my daughter with me, and someone will go, "Hey, are you Doug Aldrich or something?" And it's like, yeah, and I don't really think about it, but to my daughter, that's kind of cool. You know what I mean? Just that
Hmm.
somebody might know me. So those types of stories, the craziness stuff isn't as much anymore because we're, as you get older and you know stuff like that, you're basically kind of keeping to yourself on the road.
Yeah.
But and periodically, somebody will go. There's been a couple of times. There was a trip I had in Japan a couple of years ago. It was after the pandemic. I guess it was probably in 22. And this guy wanted to meet me. He had said he had built a guitar for me, and I was like, oh man, that's like really tricky because I do have some guitars that people have given me over the years, and I keep them, and they're special because I don't want to, somebody gives you something, you want to respect that. And so
Yeah.
this guy built this guitar for me that was insane. It was like made out of all. It looked like gold, but I don't think it was gold. It might have been gold plated. I'm not sure, but it looked like he said it took him a whole year to build it. And I'm thinking to myself, man, the best way I could pay respect to this guy is to say, please keep the guitar and play it because it just felt too heavy. Not heavy physically, not heavy, but it just felt too heavy to take something that somebody had been working on for a year. I
The
said it would
labor of
be,
love. Yeah.
yeah, I said it would mean more to me if you played it, and every time you played it, you thought about me. And when I see you in Japan, I can play it again or something like that. Do it like that because I just didn't want it to be a situation where I took it home and it was on the wall or something, and this guy spent a year and I'm sitting there looking at it feeling guilty.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we made a deal. I would play it when I come to Japan, that kind
Oh,
of thing.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is what I love about where we're at today, technologically, sociologically, I guess is the word, is that people at your level and in your line of work, you're finally able to connect with fans, journalists, whoever, in a safe way. You get to do more of it, and yet there's a nice safe distance that keeps things kind of cool and level. But then when you do get to meet somebody finally, and you feel like you know each other, and then now to
Yeah.
have that ability to have that bond through that guitar, so that somewhere down the road we're going to be gone. If he's younger, he's going to still be around, and he'll
Yeah.
get to look at that guitar and say he and I played the same guitar, did some of the same kind of music, had that connection there. Nobody could ever take that away, and that is so
No,
cool.
yeah, I was grateful for it, and it's like an honor, that somebody would do something like that. So I thought quickly, what is the best way to do this? Because, I'm very particular about the guitars that I take on stage with me, and um, it's very personal to me. So, like, as much as this thing was a work of art. It was very ornate and had a lot going on to it. But it was probably not a guitar that I was going to feature live. I might use it. It might be great for certain things. It might be amazing for something in the studio, for slide or for some ultra heavy
Yeah.
stuff or clean, whatever. But I just felt like, when somebody's put that much time into something, I want it to be a feature. So the best way for it to feature was with him. This guitar, for example, I've had this guitar since 2000 and around 2008, something like that. That's when this one was made. And I took it on tour when I first got it. I took it on tour with Whitesnake, and and then I never took it on tour again. I might have brought it on one Dead Daisies tour for a short run, but I never. It just wasn't feeling right. I don't know what it was. But all of a sudden, I just, was playing around with the action and got a new setup. And it's here on this tour that we're doing. And it's just, it just feels great. So like I want to play it. We had rehearsal the other day and I didn't play it. And now that I've got it out and I'm kind of plucking around with it, I'm like, man, this thing feels good. I want to feature this, play this thing. And that's the other thing too, is like with touring these days, you can't really bring, I mean, unless you're a really, if you got a big tour going like a Joe Bonamassa thing or somebody like that, he's carrying a lot of guitars with him. But I can't,
God.
yeah, I can't do that. So whatever I bring, it's gonna have to be, I'm gonna be using it for either writing and recording it in my room, or to play it on stage. So I basically got 3 Les Pauls with me on this run.
Did you watch the documentary on Norman's rare guitars?
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
mean,
very
they
cool.
brought up something I didn't even think about. It's like, Norman's, about the at the end of his run here, and they asked his wife who would she like to see take over the store, and she said Bonamassa. And first thing I thought of is, I wonder who has more guitars, Joe or Norman? Because I think Joe has something like, read somewhere where he supposedly said he had something like 600 guitars. It's
Well,
like,
then I
that
would
blows
say
my mind.
Joe's probably got more guitars, because I know that in the store in Norman's guitar shop, there's probably a couple hundred guitars. And so let's just
Mhm.
say there's a couple hundred guitars in there. And then let's say he's got a secret stash, which we know he does.
He
He's
does, yeah,
probably
the
he,
warehouse.
he's probably got a couple hundred more guitars, maybe. So that I don't know, man. It's gonna be close. Probably I would probably say Joe's got more. Joe has got everything, and it's so cool. He's constantly finding these very specific gems, which you know,
He's a curator. I mean, he just
yeah,
knows. I mean, it's encyclopedic that what he knows, serial numbers and this, it goes way over my head. I'm just going
Joe's
those,
great.
and I see guitar,
He's such a great force in the music business, and setting a great example for a lot of reasons. And like he's just a really nice person too. I met him years ago, and he's always been super kind. Happened to be in the same town or something, he'll invite you to a gig, or he would come to a gig if he's around. And I remember specifically, I was wanting to get into some kind of different older guitars, just to feel the feel the vibe. These old guitars. It's like the one I used on the Looking for Trouble record is a '53 Les Paul, and it's a player grade. It's
wow.
not like a, it's not like it's not something that, I mean, Joe would want it if he had an opportunity to get it, but um because I think he wants all guitars, but anyway. So like I was talking to Joe about, I wanted to get a basically like there's this particular guitar, and he goes, "Oh, I've got one of those." And I go, "Well, is it something that you might like go?" And he goes, I might." He goes, "It wouldn't be cheap." And I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "I could send it to you, and then if you like it, just we'll work out the deal or whatever." And I just thought, and then I found my player grade one, which was it was more affordable than what I was thinking of. And but I just thought, what a cool guy. He's like going, "Hey, I'll send you the guitar if you connect with it. And that's what's so cool, is Joe's not thinking about anything else but like, if this is a good connection for Doug, then we'll work it out, you know.
Yeah.
But I just love that he goes, "It ain't gonna be that," because the one I wanted, I go, "Joe, this is what I want." He goes, "But I ain't gonna be cheap." I'm like, "Okay."
I have a feeling he's quite the haggler.
Well, I mean,
I would
he
love to watch
knows
him in action.
he knows what he knows. I he's a very smart man, and he knows what he's doing. I am definitely, when it comes to purchasing things, the I am not the worst, but I'm definitely not. I'm far from the best. Like, if you I think I made a good deal on a house one time. That part I got lucky. But like anytime I've bought a car, I've definitely paid too much for it. Probably 75% of the time when I buy equipment, I pay too much for it. I've gotten lucky a few times, but I'm not a good, I get emotional. Like if you put two identical guitars on the wall and they're identical, let's just say they
Hmm.
were both like a 60s Strat, 60, late 60s, early 70s Stratocaster. And I go and you say, okay, they're both, $7,000. No, you say this one and this one, they're both 69, and this one right here is $7,500, and this 69 right here, this one is $8,500. Immediately, I'm like, I want the $8,500 one. I don't even
I'm the
know. I don't
same
even
way.
know why. Yeah, I don't even know
It
why. It's
must
just
be
like
better, right?
it.
So,
It must be better. It costs more. The PAF pickups where you got these ones are 8,000 for the pair, or these ones are 10,000. Oh, I mean, I definitely want the 10,000 ones. You know what I mean? And so it's just weird. That's what it's called. I'm an emotional buyer. I get
yeah.
emotionally attached. And that's what I got with this guitar. This guitar, when I saw it was on eBay, and I saw it, and I was really like, oh man, I've never seen a blacktop before like that. And the next morning, and it had a buy it now price on it, and the next morning I woke up and I was like, I'm gonna get it. I don't care. I'm just gonna put it on a credit card. I'll pay it off. And I went to go buy it and it was sold.
Oh,
This guitar. So I tracked down, I sent a message to the seller and I go, look, man, I should have bought it last night. I was really wanting that guitar and I just went to bed and I was thinking about it. I woke up and that's all I could think about. And I came to my computer and I went to buy it and it's gone. He goes, well, I'll give you the name of the guy that bought it. You can see, maybe he'll work it out with you. And so my buddy, not he's now my buddy. Now he's a friend, but I contacted this guy and I go, that guitar you bought, I know, that it's a really cool guitar. And I really would like to get it. He goes, I said, my name is Doug, blah, blah, blah. He goes, I know who you are. And he goes, I'm not opposed to, selling it to you, but maybe I'll make a couple $100. I was like, no problem. So we worked out a deal and I got it. And he's been my
cool.
buddy ever since.
Well, I know sometimes with these vintage guitars, and we're going to get to this new album here, I promise you, but I'm loving this conversation. I'm not a guitarist. I don't play, so, but I love, I live vicariously through guys like you. But there's a great guitar store near where I used to live. I moved here from McKinney, Texas, and so there's the Guitar Sanctuary that George Fuller owns. And I
Okay.
interviewed him way back when I was still living there. And we got on the subject of vintage guitars. And he was telling me, he goes, man, the thing you got to watch for now are counterfeits. People are counterfeiting vintage
Yeah.
guitars. I thought, holy crap, as
Yeah.
if life isn't difficult enough, but with the prices they're commanding, I can see why people are going that route.
No, and I mean that's pretty scary. But I would probably get burned. I would probably go fall in love with a guitar and then find out it was not, it was a counterfeit or something, and just be like, oh man, what a bummer. And then of course I would like, you know, give it away or whatever, because I feel like I can't sell it. You can't, like, I wouldn't want to pass on the thing, but yeah, I've been reading about that. In fact, there was that big bust about a few months back where they busted a whole bunch of guitars coming from China that were copies of
Oh,
Gibsons, and yeah, it was pretty scary because they looked. I mean, I never felt one, but they looked pretty legit. But it was they were basically counterfeit new guitars, I think.
yeah. Well, it stands to reason if you can get you a good high quality counterfeit Rolex there, why not a Les Paul? So
Yeah, but that's the whole thing, is that, you can, I mean, I don't know, some people don't care. And in fact, I would not care if it was like, say, for example, something like, sunglasses. if you go, hey, these are not real Porsche glasses, but they look like Porsche glasses. I'd be fine with that. They're
Yeah.
half the price and they look cool. Fine, I don't care. No, I'm not gonna go around saying they're Porsche glasses. They're sunglasses, so I'm not really gonna worry
Right.
about it. But with
Yeah.
a guitar, I don't know, man. It's something very. These are like kids, you know.
Yeah.
I really want to know what it is, and I want to, yeah, I want to, feel good about it, and and it makes a big difference when it's the real thing to me.
Well,
Even when I
you wouldn't want anybody selling counterfeit Dead Daisy albums. You know, it may
no,
sound the
no, I mean,
same, it may feel the same, but it didn't come from you. It's
no,
been
I
duplicated,
think.
you've been ripped off, you know.
Well, that stuff happens. I will tell you for sure that there's been lots of records over the years that I've either bought or have been my records that probably were counterfeit. But like again, it was just like I didn't think about that. But man, this guitar, it just looks amazing. I just love it. It's if it was counterfeit for some reason, the one I just showed, this black one, I mean, it's damn good. Just my very first guitar was a copy of a Les Paul. So that, but it was being sold as a copy of a Les Paul. So it didn't
Right.
bother me. The only thing it did do is cut my fingers when I played it because the frets were like cut off with like wire
Really,
cutters.
yeah. Wow.
So
Well, well,
anywho,
well, man, I love Looking for Trouble. And then
thank
somehow
you.
I missed it when you guys first did the release of the album. And now with this documentary and seeing where you guys recorded it and all that. I mean, I first of all, a little bit of background. I had the privilege of interviewing Rick Hall before he passed. He had come out with his book,
That's amazing.
and I could tell that, you know, he doesn't suffer fools at all, or didn't. And I'm
No,
thinking very quickly, and here I am talking with him, man. I better be on my game. You
no,
know?
he seemed like a really no BS guy. Like, get to
Yeah,
the point. Let's have it. Let's go.
yep, yep. But tell me about recording the album and the documentary. I know they'll kind of intertwine with each other, but how did that all come about? And
Well, the
what's the story
documentaries
behind it all?
documentaries out on YouTube, I believe,
Yep.
and you can get there from the deaddaisies.com. All of our stuff is is you can get there. The links are all on the deaddaisies.com. So go there and you'll see everything. But yeah, I mean, anytime with a documentary, it's all about there's always more. There's more that you could put in it, but it's like you don't want it to be if it's a quick taste or something, then you got to cut it down a lot. And then, I know we had tons more footage and stuff, but maybe there'll be an expanded version at one point. But recording at that studio was on. It was unbelievable because you just walk in and you just feel the vibe. I mean, it looks the same as it did back in the day. And Rick's office, we got to tour his office where he used to have artists come up and play him stuff. And it had the same furniture, the same carpet, the same all the pictures and records that were on the wall. And it just had a great vibe. But there was a little bit of a weight, like, you go in this place. This is like again, you said, I forget the word you said about Rick, but I think he was basically
He
just
doesn't
he did
suffer
not.
fools.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And he didn't want to waste time. So like you go into a place like this and it's like, okay, let's get down to it. Let's dig deep. You better be prepared when you show up. Because if you're not, somebody else is. And so we get in there and we set up and we're basically we were mainly there we were there because we wanted to write the Light 'em Up record. That was the main thing. And somehow we got on this blues thing, I think because of the artists that had recorded there and the history of the place. We just got really inspired by it. So we were set up to write and basically, make some very rough demos, but with good tones, just like it was a quick thing. Like, a week of that. And then every day they would do a tour of the studio. We'd have to stop. We might actually be in the middle of a take, and the door would open, and it did. You know, they wouldn't have come in had the recording light been on or something. But like we're trying to work out stuff and we're practicing, trying stuff, and then they'd just walk in, and it would be a tour of 20 people learning about the history of Fame Studios, and it was really inspiring to hear all the stories. And every day it started to build up. They're talking about Aretha Franklin and Dwayne Allman and Wilson Pickett and all this stuff. And you're just hearing these stories going, wow, this is like sacred. This is a sacred place, you know, of rock and roll and the blues and R&B. And then we started talking about stuff, and then we started to jam on some of it. And then little by little, we started to put our own spin on it. You know, and we picked songs that are all big famous songs, and we just wanted to have our way with them and put our own spin on them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's probably, if there's not a lot of outtakes that or songs that didn't make the album, I'm sure there was still a difficulty in choosing what you were going to select. What was your criteria on that? How did you determine which songs were going to go on the album versus maybe
We
a
only
volume
had
two or something, you know?
Well, we only had 10 songs. Actually, we had 9 because we had worked on an arrangement of music for a different song, Terraplane Blues. And Terraplane Blues, our original music was so original that it didn't sound anything like it was nothing like the original. And we thought this should be an original song. We're just going to keep this. And we ended up using it for Light 'Em Up, which was Take My Soul. It's the last song on Light 'Em Up. It's a very bluesy track. It's almost like it's a cornerstone track, but it's almost like an epic track that's something that the Dead Daisies isn't known for, you know, doing these long songs like that, epic songs. And John did a great vocal on it, so that ended up on Light 'Em Up. So we were that was going to be the 10th song, and we were short on songs, and then we just knocked out a quick version of Sweet Home Chicago, like just jammed it out, and it turned out great. But the criteria for picking the songs was basically whatever anybody felt like they wanted to do. You know, what everybody, like somebody said, hey, we should do Crossroads, but let's not do Crossroads, you know, like the Cream version, because everyone's heard that, and everyone's heard other people cover it that way. So we had our way with that. I ended up coming up with a slide part that just was probably, it didn't sound like Cream. It sounded more like Zeppelin or something. And that's kind of the vibe we went with. We had Sarah Tomac on drums with us.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarah she's a very well-known and well-loved session musician, among other things. She is a live musician as well, but she records a lot in Nashville with Marty. And we were kind of in between schedules with our drummer and with Tommy. So we had Sarah for writing, and then it turned out we were recording this record without planning it. And she said, hey, just tell me what kind of groove you want. I go, well, I got this. And she goes, she just broke into this groove that was, okay, that feels great, And so we had our way with that one, and then we went on to something else. I think Going Down was pretty close in the beginning. Somebody said Going Down because it's got a lot of downstrokes. And David Lowy, that's his thing, man. Downstrokes on the guitar. Excuse me. And so we jammed through that, and we kind of daisified Going Down with the downstrokes.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually we got to Black Betty. Somebody said Black Betty, and we listened to the Ram Jam version, which a lot of people don't even know that was not a Ram Jam song. That was a cover that they did that was written by Leadbelly.
Mm-hmm.
And So we decided, well, everyone's heard the Ram Jam version. Let's do our own thing. So we got into more of like a ZZ Top, Texas Shuffle type of thing.
Mhm.
It's just our take on it. It's some people would probably go, well, some people would go, I really love the original. And then some people would go, well, I love that you guys didn't do the original version that Ram Jam did, that you did your own thing. And so that's what we were trying to do.
Well, I love going down. That to me, that's the one I kind of gravitate towards every time I go to the album. One,
It's fun.
I can imagine the few months ago, I interviewed Andy Timmons, and he had recorded in the Abbey Road studios, and
Yeah.
he made a comment about all the original microphones still there, and all this gear that's still there, and that the studio has, I can't remember if I coined the word or if he did, doesn't matter, but that the studio had this kind of a patina to it, a spiritual or vibe patina to it, to where when you're in there, you're in that studio. And I imagine it's the same, at Fame, at Muscle Shoals, at RCA Studio A, Electric Lady, you name them. There's those iconic studios
Yeah.
that you feel like. I mean, it feels like when I walked into Dealey Plaza for the first time, you have this overwhelming feeling of history and the
Yeah.
weight of something there. How was that for you guys at Fame?
Well, as I had mentioned earlier, I felt the weight and I was like, I really wanted to dig deep on everything that I did there and kind of take the inspiration from the walls,
Hmm.
that of everything that was there. Because yeah, that's a great thing that you and Andy talked about, the patina of the room. I mean, patina, I don't even know what the real meaning of it is, but like, for example, old antique Harley Davidsons have a patina to them, the way that the metal looks, or a guitar gets it yellows and the patina of it. So I'm not really even sure what the word means. I know what I think it means, which is it basically just has a really cool aging to it that doesn't come by mistake. It comes from years and years and years of like use. And so the studio had that, the console was the same one, even the playback system, the headphone system, Q system,
Wow.
they used to call it, was the original one. It was mono. So it was just like, you're listening to, everybody was just like this. Whereas when you're, everybody in your brain, like you got the drums, give me the drums. Okay, here they are. It's boom, bop, boom, boom, bop. And when you hear the toms, it's not like, doo, 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 doo. It's like boom,
Right.
boom, 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 boom. Now give me the bass. Okay, here comes the bass. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, there it is. Now give me my guitar. Okay, here it is. And everything's just like centered in your brain, and you have to get used to that again. It's a different thing because we're so used to these studio Q sessions, Q systems, where you're like, okay, give me my guitar, but put it off to this side a little bit. Or they even, a lot of times in the studio now, they'll give you this little mixer, and you can kind of mix, you can get your own mix, do it like that. And this was like old school. Everything was old school. The microphones, the console, the Q system, and it just put you in that feeling of, okay, let's rock. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how it sounds in my head. Let's just play how you
It's
feel. And
it's
that's,
it's AM instead of FM. It's
yeah. And it really makes you play, like, it kind of makes you play more precisely and more like simpler, because more less is more in that situation.
yeah.
Everything gets mushy if you're playing too much, and it leaves. It's where I think, maybe I never thought about this till just now, Randy. It's like maybe the space that some of those old recordings, that most of those old recordings have, is because in that time, you wouldn't think to be playing so many notes or playing something so fast or something, because it would just sound weird in your head. Maybe they had to
Yeah.
keep it simple, and the beauty is in the simplicity of that. music.
Agreed. Agreed. What did you what do you feel like, you've been in a lot of recording sessions, so I'm sure a lot of things seem old hat to you when you go into a session, but was there something in particular by recording at Fame that you learned that when you come away from there, you've learned something that you can always point back to and say, "Hey, I learned this while I was recording at Fame." This that you wouldn't have necessarily gotten from any other studio.
It's a lesson that I should have learned a long time ago. It's just, but it's part of the beauty of recording is that you capture moments and you're not thinking. And so what I've learned, it's a new rule, but it's also something that, I should have learned because I've been in this situation so many times where basically, you're moving fast, you're going through songs, you're doing stuff like, on the fly, and you're not really checking your tuning or something. And so your guitar might be a little bit out of tune. And then you get a killer take and you notice, ooh, there's a little tuning issue sometimes right there. So I again learned on this session, make sure my guitar's in tune. Check it all the time. I mean, when you're recording with any producer, a million times it's happened to me, a million times. Literally, not really, but it felt like a million times. You're getting ready to record and you want to play and you're ready to go. And the producer or the engineer goes, check your tuning, check your tuning, check your tuning, check your tuning. It's like, I'm in tune, listen to it. And I check it. Oh yeah, it was a little bit out. Okay, thank you. And then you're in tune, you feel like you're in tune, then get ready to play, check your tuning. And then you're like working on a part. How's this sound? Yeah, that's the great part. Okay, let's go. Let's go. I got it. Okay, check your tuning. Okay. But in this situation, we were just writing, so we were just moving fast, and then we were going through these blues songs. We were moving fast, and I didn't check my tuning every time. And there was a couple of songs, and there's a couple of guitars on the album that there's a little tuny. You listen to The Thrill Is Gone, and John's singing in tune, and the guitar is a tiny bit flat in one spot. I noticed it the other day, and I'm just like, yep, that. But the reason for that was we're working on, for example, The Thrill Is Gone. That was one of the songs I really wanted to just jam. I didn't know that we'd make it on the record or not, but I thought, can we play it, please? Because I love that song. And all the Kings are represented on the album: Phoebe, Freddie, Albert, and there's more Kings now. There's some new Kings out there, but so we're going through this BB King, and we're trying to figure out, okay, let's do it in a 6/8 feel. So it's a little different feeling wise. It's a little slower. It's a little more sad. And we came up with a musical piece at the end that kind of was something new just to add to the song. And we're going through the arrangement, we get it, and then it's like, hey guys, it's the end of the night. Let's just put this down and we'll check it out tomorrow. And so we record it, and it was a really pretty good version. It was like, all right, that felt good. Didn't even think about it. I was just playing. I was just trying to get through the arrangement the way that we talked about it, and I forgot to check my tuning, but it sounded pretty good. I didn't notice anything drastic. And Marty Fredrickson, the producer, Marty produced both albums, and he did an amazing job. He's super talented and sets a great vibe. But he goes, okay, let's go home. We'll come back to this tomorrow. And he goes, if you want, we can hit it fresh in the morning or whatever, and listen to the version. He's told me, listen to what you did, and see, just work on it, learn it, and then you can come back and do it again. We'll do it again tomorrow. And I went home that night and I listened to it, and I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't think about. I wasn't thinking. And then the next morning I listened to it fresh after a cup of coffee, and I'm like, maybe I was a little jittery or something. I'm like, oh my God, there's like a million things on this song that I've never done before. I've never phrased it like that, or it was just a feel thing. And I think it would take me about 2 years to figure out what I did and recreate it. So I go to Marty, I go, man, I'm sorry, I don't know what I can do to make that better. It's really got a cool vibe to it. It's definitely, I was not thinking, so if you make me think, I'm going to try to like, replicate the part, and it's not going to have the same feel because it came from my soul,
Mm-hmm.
it came from deep. And Marty goes, well, there's a couple spots where there's a little bit of tuning going on. I go, really? Oh man. And he goes, but don't worry about it. It's cool. It's not that bad. It's, all of our recordings that we love, this music from the 50s, 60s, 70s, especially, songs like in the 70s, it'd be a guitar solo, it's a little out of tune, or a horn or whatever. And it's like, you're just used to it and it just sounds fine.
Yeah.
If it was in tune, it would sound weird.
Yep.
So he
Yep.
goes, leave it. That's the take. I go, is it okay if that's the take? He goes, first take. It's great.
Very cool. Did you guys record the tape, or did you patch through to digital off of the original boards?
Now we went into Pro Tools, into computer, through the original boards, through the original mics. They have the sound, and in the end, I mean, there's a lot of argument for going to tape, but the thing of it is that for one, you need a lot of tape to make an album. You need basically, let's just say you need, uh, let's say you need 10 rolls of tape minimum, just to even, because each tape you can get 3 takes on it. And so you need like, you need one reel for one song, even though you
Yeah.
can get three takes on it. But a lot of times you play it 3 times or 6 times, you record over one. Hey, there's three, tape has 15 minutes of it, 2-inch tape. So if the song was over 5 minutes, you couldn't even do 3 takes. And it would be like, hey guys, so many times, funny tape story, you're playing the song and you're at the end of the song, you're jamming, and you're like in the zone, and the producer's going like this, hurry up, hurry up. Basically, we're running out of tape. And all of a sudden, there goes the end of the tape. And hopefully you got the ending, because if not, then you're out of luck. So we didn't have the opportunity to get tape and do all that. It's a lot. It's a big commitment. But we were going through, and Pro Tools now sounds really consistent, and there's a lot of
Good.
plugins that will replicate those old tape machines. And
Yeah.
in the end, everything ends up being digital pretty much anyways, except for if you buy an album and then you take it home and play it on your stereo, then that's analog. But
Yeah.
otherwise, if you hear it on the radio or streaming, anything else, it's digital. So we get into that digital world through an old vintage console with old vintage mics, with old vintage amps, and it does translate in the computer. I don't care what anybody says, it does. You can go through tape machine. What the trick they do now is you go into the tape machine, it goes through this tape head, hits some tape, a little bit of tape, and then comes out the reproduction head. There's multiple heads on the tape machine. So it goes
Right.
in the record head, goes through 2 inches of tape, like that much tape, and then comes out the reproduction head and goes back through the console. And that's all the tape you're on, so you
Very
could do
economical.
that. And it's yeah, I mean, you can do that. You can take one reel of tape and record through the machine, but we just went straight in, and it's good. It's fine.
Yeah.
But
I've
yeah, the
only been
gear,
in. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I keep talking too much. I'm sorry
No,
about
no,
that,
no,
man.
no. That's what we're here for, man. It's to hear you, not me. So,
Well, I think there's something to be said for recording on the tape. If you have the opportunity, it's definitely fun, and it's an experience. And you basically have, it was a fun thing. I used to have a tape machine at home that I learned so much about it. But basically, there's a few not setbacks, but things that first of all, when you get done rewinding, when you get done playing the song, it takes time to rewind the tape, you know. So you're sitting there waiting, and you're waiting for the thing to rewind, and it's a whole like waiting game. And then you record maybe for an hour on the machine, and then you need to clean the tape heads because the
Yep.
tape, every time you roll the tape across the head, the little bits of the magnetic come off onto the tape
Hmm.
head. And if you don't clean them, then it gets dull. And but then if you play the tape too many times over and over and over and over and over again, as you can do on a record, the tape, naturally, those older instruments that you recorded get duller. So in the mix, you got to turn the drums, especially, you got to turn up the top end a little bit, get the cymbals to
Hmm.
be, you know, because they naturally, after recording on that tape over and over, it gets duller. That's the
Yep.
difference with digital. It's like it gives you back exactly what you put into it as long as you want, and there's no rewinding the tape. You basically just hit the
Go
space
right
bar. And
there.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I
but
was going to tell you
yeah,
the only recording session I've ever got to sit in on was way back in 1978 for for a gospel recording that was going on. I was at the Dove Awards. I was a kid still my
well, that's
you
cool.
know, I was 18, and Phil Johnson, he was big in gospel music recording, and he wrote a song that Elvis loved, and he never recorded it, but it was sang at Elvis's funeral. So that's who Phil Johnson was. He managed or produced a lot of gospel records, and so it was just after the Dove Awards, and I got to go into the Benson or the Green Tree Recording Studios, I think it was owned by Benson, and it was
That's
just for
very
the
cool.
hour it was there, man. It was just fascinating. I mean, I had no idea what was going on, but just to watch it back in those old tape days, man, it was a thrill.
It's very cool. I wished I still had that tape machine. I bought that tape machine. It originally was about an $80,000 machine.
Whoa.
I got it for like 15 grand. And and then I did a bunch of projects on that, and I still have the tapes and stuff. But then it is just like Pro Tools got so advanced, and everything I was doing was in Pro Tools, and it was just becoming like I was never turning that machine on. I let it go for pennies on the dollar, but I wished
Oh
I still
man.
had it. I wished
I
I still had
bet.
it. It was like, I mean, it's a commitment, a tape machine. Those things, there was a lot of maintenance. The the heads had to be maintained. I had to send the heads off to New York by this one guy that would refresh them. Like I said, tape's expensive. It's
Yeah, it
now
is.
I think it's like $300 a roll or something. Where at the time it might have been $100 a roll. I can't remember, but and then you had to align the machine. Each channel had to be equalized to be. It's a whole process. I don't
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
I always had to have an engineer come over and align it for me, and then I would just basically just baby it all the time. But like you had 24 tracks, and then you'd have one track of SMPTE, which is the time code that you would print that would then they would use that time code to lock up when you're mixing. They would lock up the mixer to the time code so the faders would remember what you did. And so that the time code would bleed onto the 23rd track. So the 23rd track was usually not usable until the very end. Um, So like you had the time code on 24, then in 23 you couldn't really use or you wouldn't use until the end if you needed it. Then you really had 22 tracks. And then
Hmm.
usually drums took up at least 10 of those, and then a couple guitars and a couple vocals, a couple keyboards, whatever. And you're out of tracks, and you're like, oh, I got this one other guitar part I want to put down. I was like, well, we're out of tracks. You could redo that one guitar. That one guitar we're not really hearing that much. You could redo that and do it on there, or you could go on track 23. Well, but what about if we want to put a shaker? Well, we'll put that on track 23. You're going to redo your guitar. So you go, I'm going to punch in on this part. And with the tape machine, when you punch in, when you record into the track that you're on, it had to be punched in a perfect timing because it would otherwise make a pop on the tape.
Mm.
It was a whole thing, man. So
Yeah.
I really, now we're talking about it. I miss those days, but Pro Tools is so cool because you can document an idea and have a nice working demo in no time. You could
Yeah.
sing an idea into your phone, then
Pull
transfer
it
it
in.
to pull it into Pro Tools, and then you can build a whole track around it. Like you can go, hey, to
Wow.
the drummer, go to, here's a song, I just sang it on my phone. Now it's in the computer. Can you put drums to it? Okay, no problem. He's listening to the thing I sang in the phone, playing drums to it. Now I'm going to play guitar to it. And it's the creativity aspect is pretty cool.
I think that people miss though they're missing out on something going, learning their chops the way you did by being in an analog studio because I liken it to I used to design and sell swimming pools many years ago. I learned the
That's cool.
old-fashioned way, drafting by hand, And then when I finally got into CAD, 2D CAD, it's like, yeah, it made things a lot better, but there was still that body of knowledge from manual drafting that I don't know, it affected how well I could work on CAD. And now, of course, you get 3D and all this stuff that I don't even know how to do. So I think that, you learning your chops in the analog days helps you be a better digital guy, if that makes
Yeah, I
sense.
mean, I run it like a tape machine. And basically, I don't, it's like I don't. You can do stuff like use pitch correction and time correction and all that stuff, but it sounds like it. Like
Yeah,
it, you know, you can hear it. It takes away the soul of the music,
yeah.
and that's something too that now with this technology, and this is what I really love about working with the Daisies is what we do is we do it together. We record together, we write together, we set up the drums and the guitars and the bass and a scratch vocal mic, and we do it
Mhm.
together. And there's something about playing the guitar with the drums and recording it that way that it just it feels different. You
Yeah.
could record the drums and guitar together, and then you could replace the guitar later, and it'll sound good, but it's nothing like it.
It's nothing
There's
like
just
live.
nothing like live.
Yeah.
And so what we did on this album was we recorded live, and if there was something really messed up, we'd just fix it. We'd punch in and fix it. But otherwise, it's live. I mean, the guitar solos are live. A lot of the vocals are live, and the whole rhythm track, bass, drums, and guitars is live. And it just feels good. And that's what we do. That's what we've always done ever since I've been in the band. From Make Some Noise on, we record together live like that.
Well, I always love your guys' sound, and I am especially, I mean, of all your records, I don't know, I just kind of lean towards this one because I love the blues. So that's why I was especially excited about this and was thrilled to see that there was a documentary. My vote is for whatever it's worth. If you got a lot of stuff you didn't use in the documentary, put out a volume two. I think the 20 minutes links I think that works. People will watch it. You'll get a lot of views that way. And
Yeah.
but then offer it as a DVD for everything all together. I would say I would buy that too. So
Yeah.
I think it was great what you guys did. I love how you handled it, how you approached it. It's classics, but it's a new feel, a new interpretation of it without going too far off the tracks. And I love it. I really
We
do.
went
So
we went off the tracks on a couple things, but I think it's cool. I mean, look, you
yeah.
can listen to whichever version you want, but this is an album that you can put on and it's just fun to listen to. You know the songs, you know the melodies, and
Hmm.
there's something that always happens to me. Like I'll put on a record, I'll gravitate towards certain songs, and those will be the first ones I listen to. And then I get like, okay, those songs are great, but I'm kind of looking for something new. And then I dig deeper into an album and start to appreciate the songs that didn't hit me the first time.
Yep.
And
I'm the
those are
same way.
generally those are the songs that linger forever. Those are the ones that I
Hmm.
really, kind of love to hear because you're going to hear like like take Aerosmith for example. You're going to always hear their hit songs on the radio or whatever, or AC/DC, but it's the deep cuts that really
Yeah,
get you going.
that's right. That's what sells the whole album then. You know, and I'm saying
Yeah.
I've had album. I don't know if you're this way, Doug, but I've had albums that I've had for years. And I go to play it, whether digital or otherwise, and that I'll start with the song I always go to. And then I kind of get lost in whatever I'm doing. All of a sudden I go, wait a minute, what's that? And I
Yeah.
thought, well, crap, I've had it for 10 years. Why am I just now discovering it? You know?
Yeah. Or there's those albums that I mean, there are albums. I listened to an album last night. I was listening to that band Kansas, because I used to love Kansas when I was a kid. And I was listening to cherry picking some stuff, and I was like, I don't even remember this song. Now, if I listen to it again, it's starting to come back to me, but like, it's really cool to rediscover stuff when you haven't listened to it for 40 years
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just and go like that. I loved it when I was a kid and I haven't heard it for so long, and now I'm hearing it again and it's like it rings a bell. I remember it, but like, I mean, it's been so much music since I heard it. It's like hearing it again for the first time and going, wow, it sounds cool.
Well, I've told the guys in Toto this. I can't remember if it was Luke or Joseph, but I told one of those two guys. I said, "Look, I hate to admit it, but I said, I appreciated your music as I heard it on the radio, but I wouldn't put myself in the category of being a fan. I liked it, I appreciated it, but I didn't buy the album." Then I interview Luke. I go down to Atlanta to see Toto when they were touring with Michael McDonald and I forget who else. And this was probably 11 years ago, 10 years ago. Then you hear the band live. And then you go back and I mean, you can hear it on the radio, or you go back and listen to it in your own collection. You hear those studio recordings again, and you hear them completely differently. Something about hearing the performance live, even if they perform it differently, you go back to the studio version, and there's something about the two events that bring out something of the original recorded version of it. And I can't explain it. I don't know what it is. It's just some kind of head game, I guess. But then
No,
now I can't
I
listen to
know what
things different.
I
Go
know
ahead.
what it's not it's I know what you're talking about, because it happened a million times to me over the years. You'd hear a song live and you didn't know it, and it was like it sounded really cool, but you wouldn't maybe remember it, but then you hear it on the record and it totally brings you back to that moment you heard it live. And
Hmm.
I don't know, it's definitely there's definitely a thing to what you're saying, that hearing it live and then listening to the studio track, or hearing the studio track and then hearing a live version, sometimes stuff really starts to breathe and become more live. But
Yep.
I was always a big fan. I was always a big fan of Toto. Lukather got me right from the beginning when they did Hold the Line.
Hmm.
Uh, is that what it's called? Hold the Line? I'm spacing out
Hold,
right
yeah,
now.
hold the line.
Hold the
Yeah,
line. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So that solo, when I heard that when I was, he was a kid. Lukather was a
yep,
kid. And I had never heard somebody play with that kind of vibrato. He had this really
yeah,
wide vibrato on that solo. And that was on the radio right away. So I was a
yep,
fan.
yep. I've interviewed him more than I have anybody else, 6 or 7 times now, I think. But great guy.
He's he's one of the greatest of all time, Steve
I
Lukather.
agree. I agree.
I I and one of the, I mean, just he's one of those crazy talented dudes that the way he sings is almost, I mean, you know him for his guitar playing, and his guitar playing is just legendary, but his singing is just beautiful, man. He's got all those songs. I didn't realize how much his voice was a part of that band. It's
Yeah.
big.
Until you hear it on, oh gosh, it's that breakup song that he does. My mind's gone blank, but I didn't realize he was the
I
one.
won't
I
hold
didn't
you
realize.
back.
No, the other one.
There was a few of them.
Yeah, there was one. I'm not even going to try because it makes me mad. I can't think of it. But
Girl,
it's like one of
goodbye.
my favorite.
Goodbye.
It,
Goodbye,
it's
girl.
like won't something like won't let you go, or oh
Uh,
no, that's not it. I can't think of it, but beautiful. And the other thing about Luke, I mean, you never know what's going to plop out of his mouth. But
Yeah,
at the core of it all, he's got a heart of gold.
he really
And
does.
I think he gets a bum rap on a lot of things. But as a human being, he's a good one. He is very good.
He
And
doesn't get a
I've
bum
got
rap on my
stories.
house, man. I would beat down anybody that said anything. And I've never heard anybody say anything bad against Luke. He's one of the greatest of all time. I mean, he's definitely in my top 10 of guitar players. He's like uh, just from another planet. The way
Hmm.
that he played, all the records that he did, all that stuff he did. Like I just saw something the other day about when he played on a Michael Jackson track. I think it was Human Nature or something, and his guitar part is just like it's just
Yeah.
a simple part that he came up with on the spot because in those days they would just give you the chords. They wouldn't tell you what to play. And it was like, hey, Luke, here's the chords. What are you going to play? Okay, what's the groove? Here it is. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, I'm going to play this. I'm going to go ticka, 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 and then hit the chord. And then I'm going to hit a power chord. And then I'm going to do a melodic little harmonic thing. And it makes the song, you know, he made
Yeah.
so many songs. But yeah, one of the greats for sure.
Yep. Well, Doug, I didn't mean to keep you this long, but it's every bit of it's been fun, and I always love talking with you. And please know that for
Likewise.
you and the rest of the band, if my door is always open to you, any kind of project, anything like that, you want to help get the word out, I'll be happy to do my part. I'm a big fan of you
Thank
guys,
you.
and it's always good to talk
Thanks,
with you.
man.
So thank you for your
You're a
time. Go ahead.
Thank you, man. You're a great interview, and I had a blast. And I apologize for going off on a tangent all the time, but it's because you were
Don't.
bringing up really interesting subjects that I wanted to. It's like you got my mind going, you know.
Well,
I
and I learned from that. So it's all about people want to hear you talk. They want to hear me talk. So I'm glad you did what you did. I loved it, and I know the fans will too. Think nothing of it.
well, thank you, man. I'm gonna pass on your regards to everybody, and they would want me to tell you thanks for what you're doing for us and for everybody else as well. We're all working together to keep rock and roll alive, you know.
That's right. This will probably post not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday. If I can, I'll get it this Wednesday, but it'll probably be next Wednesday because of my schedule.
All
So
right. Well,
I'll
either
send
way,
it.
happy
I'll send it.
Wednesday. Happy
You
Wednesday.
too, my friend. All right. Stay safe and healthy.
All right.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Randy. All the
Bye
best,
bye.
bud. Bye.
You too. Bye bye.